In this video, I'm going to be reviewing the most transferred out players ahead of Game Week 5 and putting them into a tier list in terms of how good a transfer out I think they are. This video is going to be really helpful for you if you're stuck in terms of who to transfer out. You're looking at the Fantasy Premier League website and seeing who's been the most transferred out and thinking, should I make that move or not? To explain the rankings in terms of the tier list, S tier would be for me someone you need to get out absolutely immediately, someone who isn't going to get the minutes or the points for you. A tier would be someone who isn't an immediate get out, but also a player who I think is going to deliver you points long term or short term. B tier would be a player that I think is totally up to you. There's pros and there's cons. C tier would be a player I would recommend not transferring out and actually holding. And D tier would be a player that I would recommend do not transfer out at all, and that points will definitely come if they haven't in the last game week in Game Week 4. Starting off with my first player in the tier list is Xiao Pedro. He's going into the A tier. For me, it's very clear from Brighton's 3-1 win at home that Xiao Pedro is not a guarantee for long-term minutes. In the Newcastle game, he played over 70 minutes, which is still strong. However, we obviously saw the emergence of Ferguson netting a hat-trick at home to Newcastle with Brighton's fixtures as well. I don't think that Brighton assets are the way to go. If you look at their upcoming fixtures, you've got Man United away, Fulham at home, Villa at home, and Liverpool at home, and City away. For me, Xiao Pedro is a player that you should move on from your team. I think there are better forward options out there. Julian Alvarez looks like a great pick going forward. So for me, Xiao Pedro is in the A tier. The next player is Nicholas Jackson, also one of the most transferred out players ahead of Game Week 5, coming off a very disappointing Chelsea result, 1-0 loss at home to Nottingham Forest. I can understand that FPL managers with Chelsea assets are knee-jerking. However, if you look before Game Week 4, Chelsea players were the most transferred players, and you had Sterling, who was absolutely number one. So there is method to the madness. Jackson in C tier, I don't think he is someone you should be getting out of your teams if you brought him in. He has a relatively decent average expected goals across all the fixtures that he's played at 0.75, and he had an XG of 0.92 against Nottingham Forest. The fixtures for Chelsea also look quite strong. Bournemouth, Villa, Fulham and Burnley just on the next 4 fixtures. So if he is in your team, he shouldn't be someone you should be looking to get out in a hurry. The next player is Alexander Isak. Very similar reasons to Jackson. Again, I can totally understand why FPL managers are looking to move him on ASAP ahead of Game Week 5. 3 losses on the trot for Newcastle is very disappointing for a team who's in the Champions League and a team who should be aiming for Champions League football again for next year. The returns haven't come. I don't think he's a player you should be transferring out your team, and that's why he's in the C tier. Again, very similar reasons to Jackson, I think, and I went into this in my Game Week 4 preview video on my channel. I think that Isaac's best points are to come. I did say that before Game Week 4, and I was very surprised, obviously, with Newcastle's loss to Brighton. But with fixtures like Brentford, Sheffield United, Burnley, West Ham and Palace, I think he's a good shout. I think he's a good hold and a long-term hold, and I would expect him to maybe enter into people's wildcard teams as well. The next player who's going in my B tier, and as a reminder, B tier is one where I'm pretty indifferent around it. I can see the benefits, I can see why not. It's Wissam. He's had very low expected goals in the last 2 games. Brentford haven't been firing on all cylinders. They've obviously just come off a 2-2 draw to Bournemouth, and before that 1-1 at home to Crystal Palace as well, where since his double-digit haul in Game Week 2, he hasn't been able to return. So I can understand it. If you're looking to take Wissam out and bring in someone like Julian Alvarez, I think that's a great shout. However, if you don't need to do open heart surgery to your forwards, I think still as a cheap budget option in a Brentford team who are attacking and who definitely can get attacking returns and points, I'd be looking to keep him in your team. The next player is Watkins, and he's entering my D tier. D tier, again, is a player who I do not think you should be taking out your teams at all. Aston Villa obviously lost 3-0 away to Liverpool. However, if you look at the last 4 fixtures, Ollie Watkins has returned in 3. Yes, he hasn't been getting goals. He's been getting assist returns, which is not what players are ultimately bringing him in for. But I think ultimately he is a player who can get attacking returns. He does come with a heavy price tag, and obviously if you're paying that price tag, you want goals. But I think with Aston Villa's fixtures coming up as well, I think that's definitely going to happen. So for me, Ollie Watkins is someone who I wouldn't take out of my team unless I was looking to really reinvest that price tag into the midfield or into other players. But as someone who owns Ollie Watkins, I'm not looking to take him out of my team in a hurry at all. Next player is Marcus Rashford. He's going into my C tier, coming off back-to-back 7-point performances in Game Week 4 and Game Week 3. A lot of FPL managers are obviously nervous with United assets before Game Week 3. However, with the 3-1 loss at Arsenal, he was able to register attacking returns still. Again, similar to Watkins, similar to Isaac, I can understand the price tag being in that 9 million bracket in the midfield, players looking to reinvest that money into forwards or into other midfield options. So I can understand why he is one of the most transferred out players ahead of Game Week 5. However, I think United have great fixtures. I wouldn't be looking to run away from United players because I still think there is attacking threats there. They're not hitting the run of form that we would expect from before Game Week 1. However, with fixtures like Brighton, Burnley, Crystal Palace, Brentford and Sheffield United, all great fixtures coming up, I think he's still worth holding. A lot of players are obviously moving from Rashford, from Bruno Fernandes, from Arsenal assets into Spurs assets, like Son, for example, coming off the back of his hat-trick. However, similar to the Sterling asset, I guess, in terms of him being from the most transferred in player before Game Week 4 into Game Week 5, one of the most transferred out players, I can see that as slightly chasing points, although I do see why people are going into Spurs players at all. Guys, also, if you are enjoying this video, please make sure to like and subscribe. Enjoying putting out the content. We're obviously going into an international break, but the content doesn't stop, and I want to be able to give you that, guys. So please click the reminder button, click subscribe, and click like if you are enjoying this video. The next player is Onana, who is entering my B tier. Was in between on this player, whether I would put him in the A tier or not. But I think given the performance of United's defence and their fixtures that are coming up, I still wouldn't say that he's going to get a clean sheet. He's had 1 clean sheet in 4 games. Clean sheets are becoming very hard to come by. If you look at Game Week 4, there was only 2 clean sheets in the Chelsea match, which was a surprise, and in the Liverpool match as well. So if you are someone who is looking to wildcard or someone who's looking to bring in other players, saving that 0.5 million and perhaps moving to one of the 4.5 million goalkeepers, or moving into players like Turner and Areola, I think that investment is smart. However, if a goalkeeper transfer is not something you're looking to make and you're not wildcarding, I can also understand holding him for now. Kieran Trippier also enters the B tier. Again, he's in that middle ground for me. 6.5 million price tag with no real attacking returns. That's not good enough for a defender that's that expensive. In previous FPL years, you would not be holding on to a player when the Liverpool assets were around that if there were no attacking returns. He's got a very low expected assist at the moment of 0.014. So again, a player for me who is in the middle ground between B tier and A tier. However, I think the saving grace for Kieran Trippier, why he's not been moved into that A tier in terms of a must get out of your team, is because of Newcastle's fixtures. Their bounce back that they are going to definitely need to do after losing 3 in a row. So he enters the B tier for me. Next player is Raheem Sterling. Can't understand why FPL managers are going from the most transferred in player to one of the most transferred out players for Game Week 5. Yes, Chelsea have had an absolute shocker result at home to Nottingham Forest. However, similar to Jackson, you look at their fixtures coming up. Why would you do a knee-jerk reaction like that? Hold him. He is definitely going to keep getting attacking returns. And for the midfield, sort of, I wouldn't say totally budget, but around that 7 million mark, I still think he's a fantastic option for your teams. And if people and FPL managers are moving away from having a stacked midfield with a lot of high premium players like Saka, Rashford, Bruno Fernandes, and moving to more players like Sterling and Maddison, and a 6.5 to 7 million midfielder like an Mbemu, for example, I don't think Sterling should be leaving your team. exactly for a similar reason, Ben Chilwell also is into my D tier. Again, one of the most transferred out players ahead of Game Week 5 for obvious reasons, from knee-jerk FPL managers that are looking to take him out, from not getting multiple attacking returns. However, there is definitely an attacking threat there. He is operating so high in the final third and looks like a real attacking threat for Chelsea. However, the goals and the assists just aren't coming for them. But they're getting in the right places. They are high pressing up in terms of the attacking into the final third. So for me, attacking returns will come. I don't think you can bank on many defenders to get clean sheets. So that's why I wouldn't be bringing him in or transferring him out for not getting clean sheets. But I think definitely attacking returns are there. So guys, you can see a real spread there in terms of the top 10 players that are transferred out ahead of Game Week 5. I've left out players who are obviously injured, as I don't think it's worth talking about. But guys, if you enjoyed this video concept, and you want to see more like this, please let me know in the comment section below. Really enjoyed making this one. I think it's one that you can really interpret and take it to your own opinion. Perhaps you want some of those players in the S tier. Perhaps the Chelsea assets you would actually put in the A tier. Be really interested to know. Let me know in the comment section below. Drop this video a like. Really helps me out with the YouTube algorithm. And subscribe to more content. Thanks, guys.